check that thing to make sure it was working. It's bad about cutting off. I'm not sure it's working now. But anyway, in order to improve my sound when I'm doing the camera work in different places to make it portable, I ordered a Tascam 60DR audio interface that will bolt onto the camera tripod, and then the camera screws down to the top of it with a standard screw mount, 1/4-inch screw mount. And I ordered another cheaper one that don't have any phantom power, but this fancy rig I ordered has got 48-volt phantom power, or you can cut the voltage off on it and use standard microphones. I'll be able to use my wireless or whatever kind of microphone I want. So it'll be real versatile. Now the other little piece is just like $70-something one that I can only use on my non-powered mics. But now if you ever mix up the switch, and that's the reason I wish it had a protective cover on that 48-volt power switch, which a lot of things used to have that. They had it was either recessed or had a cover over it that you could open and close. But now they just put a switch out in the open. If you bump that thing, put it on 48 volt, and put that old standard microphone on there, you'll blow the thing up. It'll burn it out. May have been what happened to one of my microphones I've got, that's sure, that it wasn't working. It may have burned the coil out in it. But anyway, I've got that coming. It should be here in a few days. It'll take me a few days to learn the ins and outs of it, but it'll greatly improve my sound. On this video, you'll hear the sound is not real good, and some days it's good, some days it's not. And if I got that air conditioner running, it's gonna be bad interference on that camera. It'll cause it not to pick it up like it ought to. But anyway, rest of my video was my 550 Harley Benton that I had to let sit. The frets were out of whack when I got it. It was almost unplayable, but it's in great shape now. I let it sit out here in the room. It'd been in storage for a couple of years. Well, here's my video. Well, if I can get my chair turned around here. Old and crackadated here. So what I do is do a little correction on the name I gave about that guy in Virginia that shot that sheriff. His name was Kenny Wagner instead of Kenny Baker. So if you go back to that video, his name is Kenny Wagner. That way, if you look up the story about Kenny Wagner, you can find they used to have one on Scott County's website that you could look up that story about Kenny Wagner. But Kenny Wagner and my friend's aunt grew up together. They went to school together, played together in the creek down there near Rye Cove. A lot of history in that little area there. The song that was written by Papa Carter about blew all the children away, that was about the Rye Cove School. When the tornado blew it away and killed a bunch of kids. Uh, it was pretty bad. All the recovery teams and stuff had to come from a long way off and come on the railroad. Up to a little community down the creek or down the river from there. But even Daniel Boone used to hunt in their front yard of their old home place, a place called Hunter's Valley. That was their main hunting valley, and then the valley over from that they could follow the river. But just to think that Daniel Boone actually walked through their meadow on the trail that went from there, I think, to Dungannon. And this is my Harley Benton 550 number 2. When I got the thing, it had 3 bad frets. I mean, they were really high. This one right here, and one up here, and one here. It was virtually unplayable. But it'd been in a warehouse for 2 years, and this guitar had been talked about so much as being so good, but the thing had sat in their warehouse for 2 years because the inspection sticker on it was from 2 years before. And what it done, it had really messed up the fretboard. Well, I just set the thing down there, leaned it up against the bed, left it sitting in the open, and it'd been there 6 months or more. I picked it up, and works great. And I've got both of the tone knobs set the same and tried to match the volume knobs on it so that it don't change the tone. It just changes the strength of it a little when you're swapping to like the bridge pickup. So it's working great now. It's got just a little bit of fret rock on the frets right here and one up here. And I've got the action just a little bit higher than I normally set it. Little neck relief, but I think I can turn that neck relief down now. Now I like this thing. And I'm playing this through the Black Star Core 40 watt 4V. I had the 10 watt 3V for a long time. There's one that cat watered the on and off switch and the volume, one of the switches on the top. But I finally got that cleared out. Used a little cleaner spray on it, and it put it back in shape. I don't know what's wrong with that cat. He's sick in the head. Thinks he's got to mark everything that I've touched. But anyway, this is a real beauty, and it's turned out to work real good. It needed acclimating because it'd been in a warehouse so long. And a lot of times when you got one put away somewhere, if the conditions aren't right, you'll get swelling in the frets. What it was, the fretboard was just swollen in different places, and now that it's acclimatized, it's gotten pretty good. I'm still going to go ahead and level the frets completely because I like one really, really clean where I can set the action low or set it high. My electric guitar that I bought at Alamo Music back in 1963, it had the action set high on it and higher than most people liked. But now I had really strong hands, so it was good for me. That way when I hit a note, it actually made a note, and you didn't get string buzz from anywhere. Lowered the action on it some, but I had it set a little higher than most people played it. But I learned to play on everybody else's guitar when I didn't have one of my own in electric. had one of them like a $17 Stella, and it was a Stella guitar. I wish I still had that thing, but it got real damp and the top separated. It had a big bow in it. But now you talk about high string action. And that was one that the steel string that I learned on, because the first guitar that I bought was a classical nylon string. And that was what I first learned on. But then I got that cheap, I don't even know where I got the thing. I don't ever know what happened to it. But that was the first steel string guitar I played on. And it was great for blues. And a lot of times those cheap guitars like that, and that's the $17 Stella, which cost $17. Reason they called it that. They wrote a song about it. But they were great for blues because they had a really flat sound to them. Almost like out of tune, which is the way you want to play blues, so that it sounds slightly out of tune, which a lot of blues players will actually tune slightly flat to get that sound that they want. Yeah, the reason I got that name wrong, I'm really bad about being able to remember people's names. It's been a problem most of my life, ever since I got back from Vietnam. I reckon that explosion I was in sort of messed up one part of my brain. I went to introduce my brother to somebody one day and forgot his name. Now, that's bad. Well, I just want to show the guitar. I was really disappointed in it when I got it, but it just needed, since it sat in the warehouse so long, it just needed to climatize for a while. And the only other product that I ever got that wasn't what I'd call really super great was the pickup in that little walnut cutaway guitar that everybody says sounds so good. The pickup didn't work in it. Now the tuner mechanism in it worked, but the pickup didn't work. And I don't know whether it was I had a bad guitar cable or what. I never did hook it up again. But I love the sound of that thing, and it played so easy, and I like it as well as my D28. So I wouldn't dare send that thing back. And it excelled as a guitar, an acoustic guitar, so well that the Fishman pickup system, I didn't worry about that. I wasn't concerned about it at all, because I had the tuner in there that still worked, but it never would put out any sound through the pickup. So all the other products I've gotten from Thomann have been super good. The guitars, the quality of them is unbelievable for the price, even with the high shipping cost. But if you order 3 guitars at one time, they'll ship them all in one box. It's the same shipping charge as if you ship one. That's what I'd do. I'd buy 3 at a time. Well, enough of this. Old and crackadated. If it can, it will. And little Ben got kicked by one of the horses. They were out there chasing him around, and he got kicked on the shoulder and crippled him up. But he's able to get around now. He's doing much better. And of course, Bear had to get in there and get kicked too, so he was limping a little bit, but he wasn't hurt bad. I don't know what I'm going to do to break them of running those horses around. They like that one horse, the one that kicks so much, because he'll play with them. And they get to barking and running and barking and running, and just the horse is as bad as the dogs are. Because that horse always loved to play with Ladybug. They used to get out there, and it was so funny. Spot is what I named the horse, because he acts so much like a dog. But anyway, Ladybug would get out there, and they'd take turns chasing each other. She would chase him for a while, and then they'd turn around and reverse it. The horse would chase Ladybug. And he'd be standing still, and she'd run and jump and grab his tail, and he would spin around in place, swing her around completely 360-degree circle, and set her back on the ground. They'd do that all the time. When she'd grab him by the tail, he'd just do that spin maneuver and then stop real easy and just set her down on the ground. It was so funny to watch. Wish I had put that on film. I never even thought about getting this camera and going out there and filming that. I wish I had. I sure missed Ladybug. Well, old and crackadated. If it can, it will. If I can think of anything else to ratchet y'all about. But I'm just glad. I'm glad that guitar turned out to be good when I was so disappointed and really kept putting off doing the frets on it. But they're almost good, completely good now. But I'm going to go ahead and do a fret job on it. The strings on it are totally dead. They've been on it since the guitar was made. So I'm sure it's got 2 strings on there that are really dead. But the sound on the thing is really good. Old and crackadated. If it can, it will. And I haven't checked to see if it has already today, but it might have.